It's a high priority for me to get a capital bill and infrastructure bill passed in this legislature. We have the opportunity, I believe, because there's a universal understanding that our infrastructure is crumbling in the state, our roads and our bridges, our water infrastructure. We need to invest in it. We're the supply chain hub of America. And in order to maintain that status, in order to create jobs, we've got to continue to invest in our infrastructure. So I'm going to get that going as soon as possible. I've talked certainly to some Republicans and many Democrats already about how we would do that, but I'm fairly convinced that there is a majority of support across the board for getting the revenue that's necessary to implement an infrastructure plan.
How would you pay for it?
Well, there have been proposals on both sides of the aisle in a variety of ways. Senator Bill Brady suggested that we expand gaming as one source of that revenue. There are lots of other things that we could look at to get that done, but I think the most important thing is that if we bring the parties together across the aisle and actually sit at the table, because there's such deep commitment to an infrastructure investment in the state, that we will be able to piece together the revenue that's necessary. I don't think it'll substantially come from only one thing. It'll come from a variety of sources.
How do you envision that money being doled out between Chicago and my part of the state, Southern Illinois?
Well, we've got to look. Obviously, there are many more roads across the rest of the state, and so we've got to make sure we've got enough money to take care of those roads. When I say the rest, I mean outside of Chicago, and that's the point you're making. And so, and I'm very committed to creating jobs and building up infrastructure and job opportunities and businesses outside of just Cook County and the collar counties. We have, 40% of the population that's downstate Illinois, and so we've got to make sure the infrastructure is good in areas where it's necessary. I'll give you an example. Rockford, for example, has a terrific airport. They need some infrastructure investment there in order to enhance their ability to grow supply chain jobs there. The same thing down Metro East. There's a lot of opportunity in East St. Louis, in my view, to turn East St. Louis into a logistics and transportation hub, but we got to make the right kinds of infrastructure investments to make that happen.
Do you have a percentage in mind of how you would want to see that money split between the Chicago area and downstate?
Not yet. I'm a guy who focuses on fairness. And I also will say to you that downstate Illinois has often been left out, or at least left behind, and I committed during the campaign that I want to create jobs in downstate Illinois, and I'm going to do that.
Will there be a gas tax increase as part of your capital bill plan?
I don't know. I don't like regressive taxes much. That's why I proposed a fair tax system for the state. So I don't want to rely too much on regressive taxes, and that's why I'm looking for all of the opportunities to kind of piece together the revenue that would be required for an infrastructure bill.